So yeah, so we're just as we're waiting for Grandma Renee to still join us, we have Dr. Karen Hill that's going to share, and I'm just going to read her bio. That's okay, and then she can share with us. So, Galanano Noe. Sorry, so how I say it?
Garana unwe.
All right, sorry.
It's like unwe hoe. Galana
Okay.
unwe.
Okay. All right, so she's Mohawk, physician from Six Nations of the Grand River Territory, and she's the mother of 2 sons and stepmother of 5 daughters. And she's completed medical school in 2003 and family medicine residency in 2005, both from McMaster University. And her passion is to see traditional Indigenous knowledge return to the center of life and health care for Indigenous people across Canada. In 2015, Karen became the first recipient of the Thomas Dignan Award for Indigenous Health, conferred by the Royal College of Physicians and Surgeons. In the same year, she also received the College of Family Physicians Excellence Award for leading the way in Indigenous collaborative care in primary practice. Also in 2016, she was honored by McMaster University with a Community Impact Award. In early 2020, Karen partnered with, Gastoe Se La Guate. Sorry, I didn't want to mess that up. But Paulette Moore, so a Mohawk filmmaker, to create the Aunties Dandelion Media and Research Center focused on supporting Indigenous embodiment of original instructions embedded in the traditional knowledge. Dr. Hill was in the film Veronica. Karen continues to practice consultative medicine at Six Nations and work with her colleague, Dr. Amy Mator, in the Indigenous Health Service at the Brantford General Hospital. She's completed 4 years apprenticeship in traditional Indigenous medicine and continues this learning along with Mohawk language classes and its lifelong commitments. So with that, we're going to welcome you and you share some teachings. So, Yahweh.
Okay. Now, everybody for inviting me to come today. I've been looking forward to this. I sound really good on paper. You have to write down all the things that you've done in a way. I will just clarify too that I'm going to show a very short film. And that was created when I was working with Paulette Moore with the Aunties Dandelion. I no longer work with the Aunties Dandelion. And so I had changed my bio, but somehow it didn't get put forward, but that's okay. So this film was something that one of the first things that we sort of created after the coronavirus came out. And just to give you a little bit of background is I had been talking about wanting to share what I was learning just from being a physician and working with Indigenous people. I only work with Indigenous people as my patients. And one of the things that I noticed was that there would be many times that the patients would talk about our teachings. Well, our teachings tell us this. Our teachings tell us that this is the way we're supposed to be. Our teachings tell us this. And yet I saw a very disconnect in terms of the teachings being held as knowledge, as opposed to the teachings being fully embodied as a way of life, as a way of being, which is what they are. They're not just, it's not just knowledge to carry around and share. They're about who we are and how we are to be in this world. And I recognize that that was something that was really important to help our people to come back to understanding, right? Is that they're not teachings. That's a way of life. It's a way of being in the world. And one of the opportunities I had several years ago is to be a support alongside some of the ceremonialists that were coming into the community to do different things, running a sweat lodge, coming in to do a Yuwipi ceremony from South Dakota. I was often the one, getting coffee, driving people to airports, things like that. And I was driving some people back to the airport in Buffalo who had come from Dakota. And so I was talking to the one young man, and he had been the one to lead the ceremony, the Iwipi ceremony. And I said to him, I said, I hate diabetes. I hate it. I can't stand it. I don't like what it does to our people. And he said, Karen, you can't say that. And I said, why not? What do you mean? And he said, do you really want to help the people? And I said, of course I do. That's why I'm going into the work that I'm doing, right? That's why I do what I do. I was in nursing many years ago. And he said, I said, well, what am I supposed to do? And he said, well, when we have a ceremony for people for their healing, he said, we invite the spirit of that illness, whatever it is that they're dealing with, if it's diabetes, if it's cancer, if it's rheumatoid arthritis, whatever it is, we invite the spirit of that illness into the ceremony with us. He said, because do you think that that spirit would come into the ceremony with us if we said, we hate you, we can't stand you, we don't like what you're doing to our people? And I said, no, probably not. He said, no, it wouldn't. He said, what we have to say is we have to say, we see you, we acknowledge you, and we love you. And when we speak to the spirit of that illness in that way, then it will come into the ceremony with us. And then we can say to that spirit, this person that you've come to is ready to hear the message that you brought. And they're ready to learn the lessons that you brought for them to learn. And so your job is done. And now that your job is finished, you can leave. And I said, you know, it would be really good, I think, to make a film about the coronavirus from the perspective of our own perspective. What is the coronavirus? How are we to approach that virus? Because it applies to all of those illnesses or diseases that come to us. So that's why we made this little film, to talk about that and to talk about our own perspectives on the virus, on illness itself. And of course, there's humor in it because that's just who we are. So I'll show the film and then we'll talk a little bit after as well. And I know, Kathleen, you have that queued up on your, so if you can show that now, that would be great. Well, I hope that everybody enjoyed that little film. So, you know, the other part of it was that when we had talked with Louise McDonald's, Wakalegatste, she had told us that that was one of the things that was important, as well as that we name it. Because once we name it, then we can also ask it to leave. We have to know its name. And after we made this film, I thought a lot about, I thought about coronavirus, and I think about diabetes as well, especially type 2 diabetes, because it comes to us, right? Even when we say we're sick, we say wagin waktani. So that's not, that doesn't mean that I own it. Right? It means that it comes to me, right? And I think oftentimes we get that in our mind that, oh, I have this disease now, right? Or I am diabetic. But that's not even in the language, the way that we talk about illness or disease. It comes to us, and it comes to us for a reason. In this film, we talk about the way that we've been living, right? Disconnected, poisoning aquifers through our behavior. And we're as guilty as anybody else, right? Look at the research that was done on the water just here at Six Nations. It comes onto Six Nations in one state and leaves in a way worse state because of what we're doing here and how we're living. So and with the coronavirus, like other things, right? Like trillionaires, right? How do we live in a world where there is such a thing as people who are so wealthy while there are people that are starving? There's an imbalance there. There's a disconnection there. And some of that underpins like the coronavirus. So that's why in the film we say, you know, well, that's why we're picking up these original instructions. They're not just knowledge. It's we're embodying them. We're in the garden. And why? Because we have a responsibility to ourselves and to the coming faces, to the next generations. And with type 2 diabetes, I think about that. And I think if I am to name type 2 diabetes, if I give it a name, just like the way we give nicknames to family and friends, right? That nickname may be very specific to me and nobody else may call that person that except for me, right? And it's the same way with type 2 diabetes. What would I call type 2 diabetes? And in my mind, when I was walking in the bush, I thought, you know, for me, type 2 diabetes would be yatayatdaya, which means it has no body. And when I think about that name that I give to that virus, because, or to say diabetes, right? That it has no body in and of itself, right? It has to attack, it has to become part of a body, my body, your body, whoever's body is carrying it. But what is it that we're not carrying that gives it the space to come? And for me, I thought, you know what, I've been living in my head my whole life. I've been living up here because I grew up through the 60s scoop. You know, my mother always said, we're living under the wire here, right? Because my mother had spina bifida. And we always had this fear that if, you know, the Indian agent or whoever found out that my mom actually had a disability, that they would just take us. They would just take us as children, right? So that taught me that it wasn't safe to occupy my own body. And I think even historically, with all of the traumas that we've been through as Indigenous people, it hasn't been safe to be an Indigenous person in this country, in this world, right? Because we are tied with the land, which is viewed as the resources. And if you want to pry the resources and take them as your own, you have to separate them from what they are, what that earth is tied to. And it is us as Indigenous people, right? So our circumstance has really brought us to a disconnection. And me specifically, that's what I saw. And I thought, you know what, I need to, then my healing comes from re-inhabiting my body, right? I started to do yoga. I started to do meditation, started to walk, started to really pay attention to my physical being, right? Because I thought, you know what, without this physical being, my spirit has no place to inhabit. You know, this physical body is just as sacred as my spirit, even though we've been taught or treated as though it's not. It is. And when I think about that in type 2 diabetes, that's what I try to share with people, is that we inhabit this body, and we definitely have to pick up a loving relationship with this body and understand that this is our first earth. If we're going to make a reconnection to Mother Earth, we need to connect here first. And when we connect here, then we can connect with Earth. Because the other thing I do now is gardening. And of course, medicines, because I've learned medicines. And I knew the medicines as a child because my grandfather was a traditional medicine person. And we were living, like I said, under the wire. So I never saw a doctor. I guess a child. My mother would say, go, you know, that weed you saw sticking out of the sidewalk down there, go find one just like that, but not where people are walking, and bring that back. Right. We'd go and pick the medicine and bring it home, and then my mother would fix it for us. So I've had that knowledge as well. So I've re-embodied all of that, which I had left in the dust, because of the traumas in my life and the disconnection with my own earth, my own being. So when they said, what is the message that you want to give to people that are on this webinar today, that was it. I said, like, we can step. It's not really about stepping out of diabetes. It's about stepping back into our whole being, right? And reclaiming our space right here. And with all of this trauma upon trauma upon trauma that our people have experienced, one of the things it does physiologically is it puts our body into a state of being that is about trauma, right? It's about being on high alert, right? Which some of you may have heard. Physiologically, that means that we have high cortisol, high adrenaline. When we have high cortisol, that mobilizes all the glucose that's stored in our body and dumps it in our bloodstream. It mobilizes stored calcium. It mobilizes all kinds of stored nutrients, because the body is perceiving that there is an imminent risk that we're going to need to chop, run. We're going to need a physical burst of energy to be able to get out of this danger. And but it's not a physical danger that we're facing. It's a psychological, emotional, spiritual one, right? But our bodies don't, it's to the body, it's the same thing. It's going to enact that same response that is meant to save our butts, right? If there's a lion chasing us, or a bear, or something that we need to quickly address, right? But chronically over time, if we're not really connected to our body and feeling like, geez, this doesn't feel good, there's something going on here, and I need to just back off for a minute because this may not be very healthy for me. We've just learned that we have to, like, get through it, keep going, get through it. Especially I see our women do that a lot, right? We're like, nope, I got to go to work, and then I got to take the kids to baseball, and then I got to take the grandkids because I'm raising them, and then I got to come home and cook, and and I got to sleep on the chair because the kids have the couch. Our whole lives is running on that energy. And because of the way our body is created as well, we sort of get dependent on that high energy state, high cortisol, high adrenaline state of being. We get dependent on that. So then when things are calm and the adrenaline maybe has taken it's like, oh, I can actually calm down for a few minutes. We feel weird. We feel like, what's going on? I don't feel good. I feel out of sorts. I feel tired. Well, because you're exhausted, right? So and then it impacts our mind, right? It's like, something's wrong. I better get to work. I better fill this space of calmness with something, right? And then we just continue on that treadmill. So really stopping and just taking that, reconnecting with our being, and breathing alone will do that. Let alone meditation. Just stopping and taking some really deep breaths can help us to do that, reconnection. And the prescription medications are good at getting the sugar under control, which is sort of like, okay, I'm going to really quickly patch this roof because it's leaking, but I take away the fact that you need a new roof, right? That's like with us too. I can take the medication to get the sugar down, but ultimately I need a reconnection with my body so that I can stop running in this physiologic state of high stress, right? and calm down, like get myself to calm down and start to get used to the calmness, because we're not used to it. We're so used to always, waiting for somebody to roll their eyes when you hand their status card for the tax, we're always sort of waiting for that. And that puts our, like it, we might be like, yeah, whatever. No, that's just coping. So that's all for me that I have to share today. Hopefully Grandma Renee has been able to join us. So I'll hand it back over to Kathleen.
Oh, Yamagoa, Miigwech. So yeah, really very impactful right now. I just like, oh, got the feels going. So so Grandma Renee is joining us by phone. So we're gonna let her, she won't be able to be on video. So I'm gonna allow her to talk and hopefully that works. So there we go. So welcome, Grandma Renee. Are you there? I know you're on mute. So the phone, you have to click on the mute so we can hear you. I'm gonna try.
You might have to unmute her.
Yeah, it won't let me. Okay, there she is.
Thank you for being very patient with me. Oh my goodness. Thank you for all that you have shared today, especially Dr. Karen Hill. Thank you for reminding me of a lot of things. And that's so true. When you label something, and that's what one of my elders taught me, Reg Henry, a long time ago, he had told me, he says, we have to be careful. Our thoughts can create these boogeymen. Our thoughts can create all these things, our nightmares, because we give them labels. So we have to be very careful. And so I say thank you again, because we bring that to him, because that's the power of our mind. And we have to be very careful. That's why we have to think of, and that first language is love. Love yourself. A lot of us have put labels on ourselves, and this is one of the things that, while I was guided to work with the addictions, and one of the things is, I said, what is your name? And your name has power, and so you must address yourself, I am. And so in that way, you build that relationship between you and your spirit and your body. And so when you do that, you will explain that you are a gift. And that's what you heard. You are a gift. You hear it over years and years and years. And we always hear that word gift. And we have to be very careful, because sometimes the universe hears us. And sometimes it has to wake us up. And the only way it can wake us up is when it brings pain. So pain has become a messenger, an ambassador of self-care. So we need to look at ourselves. How many of you are swearing? How many of you are belittling yourself at every little moment? And that's why we have to remind ourselves. And that's what I did with addiction. And because they would say at our programs, good evening, I am so-and-so, my name is so-and-so, I am addicted, I have alcohol problem. And so I reminded them, I said, no, you need to take that label off, that hat you're wearing. I said, you have to say, I am a human being that's experienced life. And so that's true, your experienced life. And that means if you keep repeating it, it's going to happen. And I said, if you're going to want to stay on a journey of being well, you have to remove those labels. So learn by doing that is the first thing is your breath. And that's what we have to be reminded of is our breath. Our breath brings the words out. Our breath brings in the words that we need to hear. And so many will not, as they say, many will not realize how powerful their words are. And that's why we always think of peace, power, and righteousness. Peace is a gift that we all have been entitled to. And power is the other gift that we were given, and that is the power to make change. And that comes from that good mind. And I kind of think about this word righteousness, but I think about it as one of the things that we become unbalanced is because we forgot our spiritual being, our spiritual essence, our spiritual spirit. That's what we come with, is that spiritual spirit. We come from a very sacred space. And so when we keep announcing to our spirit becomes very, wow, you don't care. And so we have to remember ourselves, even when the peacemaker came, and when he came to speak to the one that had many tangles in his hair, and some have used the snake, but in reality, it was the knots of anger, all those things. Those show of emotions, of not caring. And so what did they do? They went to him. Yes, they had to go through a lot of his angry words, but they reached him. And that's what you do, because, you know, you're going to have people that come to you. It may be your own brothers or sisters or whatever that are dealing with a lot of grief. And they're going to use those words, I hate you, and those words that can hurt your spirit. But you have to speak to that spirit. You have to speak to that spirit. And what I have been told to say is that, where is my sister? Where is my friend? The one that I know is kind and good. And you know what? When you mention the word love, it reaches that spirit. And so this is why we need to look at ourselves in the mirror. A long time ago, we would look in the waters, and we would talk to the waters, and we would speak to the waters, and we would look at ourselves, and even our speeches. This is why we're given such beautiful speeches, is to remind us of how we came here to earth. We had a duty, we had a purpose, and our purpose wasn't to endure pain. And that's what the Creator gave us, all these medicines. And that's why when I look about and I hear the Thanksgiving address, that was created because we were to have challenges. We were to go through trauma. We have gone through many pandemics. We have been going through a lot of traumas. But you know what? The Creator put His breath in us. And that breath is a breath of resilience and of restoring our spirit, restoring us. And we have that ability at this very moment to start saying, I care. I care. I am a sacred being. I am a messenger of the peace. I am Indigenous. I am, you name all the things that are positive, and you can be very powerful changes. And one of the powerful words you can say is, I am thankful. Even when you have neglected yourself by caring for other people. And I had gone into that position where I care for my people, because my people are very important to me. And so when I give all that love out to them, I forgot to save some love for me. And as a result, I was given a gift to remind myself. Some will have referred it as, I have shared it with others, that I have had cancer. But cancer was a gift. To me, that's how I was taught. And I recognize it. I said, thank you for coming. Thank you for teaching me this most important thing, that I have forgotten how to take care of myself. You come to teach me, and so I will do this. I will start right away, and I will learn. And as a result, I thank you for visiting me and taking that opportunity to tell me, now it is my power. I can go and look for the medicines. And in all of us, because of that breath that the Creator gave us, that breath will guide you. And they call it intuitiveness, intuition, logic. And so I asked my body, what do I need? And my body told me what I needed. And so I reached out for those medicines that I needed. But most of all, I needed, as Dr. Karen Hale said, gardening. That earth is a very powerful gift. And when you put your hands into that and you smell that earth, so to all those that are grieving, you can go to the dollar store and buy, or you can just go outside and dig into the earth. But I always like to carry a bag of dirt around, because remember, when we were little, what's the first thing we did when we were outside is that we ate dirt, because we had to get ourselves ready for our life of challenges. And that's why every child will always eat dirt. And we were talking about that just a moment ago. We were talking about how we ate mud pies. We were preparing our body, because in that earth was all the nutrients that our body needed. So maybe we need to eat dirt again, because, even eating food fresh from the garden and with all that dirt, we become so sterilized that we have forgotten how to be in relationship with the earth. People will, and the other thing is that what we were doing was we had a meeting, and then we were eating, and I said, I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to eat with my hands, because this energy that I'm feeling from all the people that are here today, I said, I feel very good. And so this energy is throughout my body. And so I'm going to, when I pick up my food, I'm going to let my food feel that energy of love and kindness and goodness. And so I'm going to put that in, take that in, and it's going to be filled with all those good things, so that is my medicine. Because we are told our medicine is our food, and our food is our medicine. And so that way I use my hands to pick up the food, because that's what we do in most cases. We didn't come there with a fork and knife, and this is what in history it is shown, that we wondered why they used utensils when they were eating, when we knew the relationship between us and our food. It had to be touched, just like when we cook it, when we prepare it, it's all done with love. So remember, take that breath, blow it off, and say, I am not this disease. It came to tell me that I need to start loving myself, because that's what the Creator gave us, love all around us. Love from the trees, love from the plants, love from all the birds and insects and the sun and the moon and the stars. That's really unconditional love. They love us no matter who we are and how many times we fall down and we hurt our spirit. It's there to make us connect again to feeling good, feeling at peace, the power that we have. Every day we have power, and it is in our breath. And so I choose, you say that, I choose to be well. Every day you say, I choose to be well, because that's what the Creator gave me, this gift to be well. And this gift, it has taught me to be more grateful, to be grateful that I have the chance to make things right. That's the most important thing, because we had all these ceremonies to help us to deal with the guilt and shame. We feel guilty eating this kind of food because we know it's going to cause us. But we also have been given a permission, saying, sometimes food, I can have it just sometimes, but not all the time. And so we have given ourselves, and we talk about our food not as diabetic food for diabetic diet, diabetic menus, diabetic. All we have to think of is our healthy food. Think of our food as healthy. This is healthy for me. The power of your words, the power of your spirit, the power of you is why we're reminded in the Gonna Let Go of the good message. Our body is always telling us a good message. if you're feeling pain, what is, you're supposed to ask the 5 questions, 5 W's. Who, what, when, where, why. You know, they had told me that I was going to be a diabetic when I was very young, when I had go to the doctors. He said, you're going to be a diabetic. And I said, no, I'm not. And I will tell everybody today, I wish he was still here today and I would let him see me, because, and you know, this is what our spirit says. We have that stubbornness in us. And when somebody says you're no good, and that's right away our spirit speaks right up and says, yes, you are. You're somebody special. You're a creator's gift to the earth, and you have a greater purpose in life. And that's what we need to remind ourselves. We need to remind ourselves that we have a greater purpose in life. And it is not to continue to harm ourselves, because the creator didn't want us to suffer. That's why he created all these beautiful things, the nourishment that we need, the food that we need, the language that we need. The language I'm speaking of is love language, because that's how the language was manifested, was of love, and everything in it. And that's why you'll hear a lot of the old people will say, oh, we don't swear in our language. We have a way of describing it in a humorous way, and so that you're not using negative words to your spirit. And so this is why be mindful. That's what they say. Always learn how to clear your mind. Take that deep breath. Yes, I like that, what she had said, Dr. Karen Hill had talked about yoga. You see, even our grief, we're all stuck in grief. And if everyone would get in that ability to do those stretches and those twisting and those movements, that is another sacred gift that was given to us. Movement is our gift. And so when it's like wringing out a dish rag, because when I was grieving there for a nephew that hit me really hard, I felt that all life had gone out of me. And I know what it felt like to be grieving. I didn't want to get stuck there. I wanted to live again. I wanted to feel life again. And so I asked my friend, I said, can you do yoga with me and help me? And so I did that. And you know, when I did those movements, and all of a sudden it went pop, and the breath of life came through me again. And so I say, our people have become very, the water has become stagnant because we're not moving. And so we're not using, and therefore we're losing. That's what the old people say. If you're not using, you're going to lose that ability. And so we are taught at a very young age that chores, that's what we call it, doing, but people call them chores today. So chores is a way of keeping us busy, keeping us moving and doing. And because we do these stretches was to help our stagnant water move. So thank you for reminding me of those things, of how powerful our words and how beautiful we can make change. And that's what the creators give us, this opportunity. He gave us this magnificent body that has the ability to heal our spirit. And when we heal our spirit, things will make change. And you know, you've heard of people when they eat healthy, that things change in their body. They feel even more at peace with themselves and feel more love. So I give you that gift that was given to me, the words of encouragement, the words of love, but most of them, the words of peace, power, and righteousness. Remember, your spirituality is just to say thank you. Thank you, Creator, for all this. Yes, or even to say thank you for the bad experience. That's what I was told. Because even my grandma says, when anything bad happens to you, you just flip that, like you toss a coin, heads or tails. She says, well, if you want to stick with just heads, well, she says, flip it over and make it a good thing. And so we came here to teach other people, because our life experience is a gift that we are to help others. And to all of you that you know, that are on this journey of being reminded of looking after ourselves, we need to take that step and say, what can I do to make change? and that is to start singing again, because a lot of the old people a long time ago, you would walk down the road, you would hear someone singing, you would hear somebody humming. And so that vibration that is in us, as it's like it wards off all these negative thoughts. And I heard a good one yesterday from a friend. He says, when you sing those songs, it's just like it dug deep into your spirit and brought out all those things that brought pain and put it back out in the air. And even that gesture, taking that negative and putting it out into the air. And so singing was very good for us. And dancing is another thing. Movement, moving that out of our bodies. And I really appreciate the smoke dance, because that's another gift to help us to get rid of the frustrations that we feel. So there are many, many things. And I'm very grateful that I was able to get back on. And I'm learning how to live in two worlds, two eye seeing, because if one way stops me, I'm not going to be stopped. I'm going to use another way of bringing the message. And so they say in time, sometimes that, you may injure your arm, you may break your arm or your hand or part. You have to learn the other part. And so the other part we have to learn is reconnecting to our spirituality, learning the language of love. And so I say, Oho, Nyawa, Miigwech. Thank you for giving me this opportunity of sharing.
Grandma Renee, very, very, very powerful messages from both. It just, really resonates with me. I've had the opportunity to have conversations with both Dr. Karen and Grandma Renee, and really, got insightful messages, creative and new messages on how to rethink and the thought process, right? So yeah, but at this time now we have time for questions and answers, and go through the chat. We've had few comments in the chat there. So I think one was both the video they could share, and at the beginning of the session, we asked Dr. Karen if we could record the session, and both Grandma Renee and her said we could record, but Karen didn't want the video recorded because of just copyright purposes. But I'm not sure, is there another way they can access the video, Dr. Karen? No, okay.
No,
So
not really. No, I just use it like I use it in teaching and that sort of thing. And it's not just mine. So I can't like just share it. Yeah.
yeah. So those of you that joined us today and were able to see it, then you're meant to be here to hear that, and kind of that. So we won't be sharing the video. So good comments. It's a beautiful video. A lot of things, some hearts, thank yous, some. That was great. I loved it. Made so much sense. Thank you so much. Beautiful insights, has helped me understand it better. It was great. It touched my heart. All living things have spirit, even viruses. Thank you for this, Karen. Made me emotional. Woo, LOL, and helped me make connection and the reminders. Thank you so much. So that's from Elaine from Moose Factory. So great messages. Thank you. Rose shares, may the paths of our ancestors never be overgrown. Be in good health. And that's very impactful. So yeah, Wagoa for sharing. Thank you, Grandma Renee. Some hearts. Lots of hearts. And Lindsay asked, can you be my therapist? And she just laughed. Oh, Debbie says mine too. So
to call in
to be able to hear these teachings. A lot of noise. So, and then someone wants to know if there are teachings written anywhere to remind us. We get a lot of questions over the years as well of being in the thing. And so traditional teachings, we come from a long line of oral history, right? And we didn't have the books and the writing and things. So that's a little bit, so there's some teachings that have been shared in books and others they're not. And, you know, those is message, and Grandma Renee and other elders and Dr. Karen, it kind of like, you know, sometimes we look for those, but it's in us. It's in us. And we just need those reminders to help us remember. Yeah. Thank you so much, Grandma Renee, for giving me a gift back. And thank you, Dr. Karen. So let me gwitch, thank yous. I recently contacted Native Nutrition and Indigenous Diabetes Conference to do a presentation on where type 2 diabetes and other health problems originated from residential schools. Are we concerned on informing the public on why we are facing the diabetic epidemic? No. Either one, if you want to kind of touch on that.
Well, I guess for me, I'm more concerned about our people understanding how diabetes has come to us, right? We have to get away from, oh, this is what caused it, and so now let's go back there and fix that. We can't go back. We can only be right here present. And so I'm more interested in, and that's
Nope, she's frozen. Nope. Hopefully they didn't lose her. She's just frozen right now, mid-sentence.
I have to laugh because someone had asked for a reminder.
right. And I remember even them talking about the.
Oh, we lost her. Oh, sorry, Grandma Renee, you were speaking.
Okay, how the Creator, He only give us one mouth, because it gets us in so much trouble. So your best teacher is your spirit. It tells you, if I don't feel right about what I just said, I need to make things right. So your body has that intuitive knowledge, and so when you're out of balance, when you're angry, whatever, is just you have to remove that. Say, take this spirit, take this anger from me. It's not mine. It's not mine. You don't own that anger. Don't own anything. Don't own that pain. And it's just like being a top athlete. You have to learn how to, your choice of thoughts, your choice of action. And so just remember, the Creator give us our best teacher. Creator give us this body and the spirit, the mind, emotional, and they tell us when we're out of balance, when we don't feel right, when we receive a pain. It's like a knock on a door saying, okay, how can I make this journey a little bit better and help others? And so it's our body that is the greatest teacher of all. And one of the things is, they call it grounding now. Just sitting outside with nature. Don't have your cell phones or anything. Is sitting with nature, because nature wants to, no matter that journey you're on, that time of great struggle in your life, just take that moment and go and sit outside and put your feet, have bare feet, have that energy from the earth come to you, and let the birds sing a song to you, and let them take care of you, let them nurture you, so that you can continue this journey with more problems rising from it. And I know one of the things is my own granddaughter, she has diabetes, and that's the hardest thing, is seeing your loved ones. And so I know, and I have to learn how to not to be nagging as the word is today. I have to just kind of do by example and say it's a challenge, and I'm there, as they say, every day praying for the love to return into our people's hearts. I pray every day for that, because that's the most powerful medicine, and that love can reach their spirit, and so that our people can continue this journey, no matter how struggling it may be at times, but know that they are loved, that they are cared for. And because of past experiences we've had a lot of not nurturing gifts given to us. And so know that every day there's a prayer being said for you. So not put that in your mind that no one's thinking about you, no one's caring for you. There's a lot of people out there that are praying for you and your journey in life.
Yes, no way. Yeah. So sorry, Dr. Karen, we lost you for a few minutes there, but you were talking about how that, don't look at the past kind of thing, right? And so.
Yeah, we can't go back to the past. We just can't go. It's impossible, right? To go back to the past. So we really have to focus on just the present and being present, because I think that's the biggest thing that probably all of this trauma, residential schools has taken away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, sorry, poor connection, right? So, I've been in this position now with IDHC for a number of years, and when I first started, getting a lot of teachings and hearing our knowledge keepers and our elders sharing us, the teachings and the reminders, and what was really kind of impactful was one of the elders said that we don't have the sweetness in our lives anymore, so that's why we have the sweetness in our blood. And kind of looking at that, and so yeah, kind of trying to change that mindset, because I grew up, I was the oldest of the family, so I was a natural worrywart, like all kinds of things, like I was always worried about this. So if we're going here, we got to this and that. So kind of it impacted my life when I got older, and kind of like, and then with these teachings now, trying to change that mindset, and I can only do what I can do. And and as before, Dr. Karen had mentioned something about that chronic stress. We're always waiting for something to go wrong or something to happen, and I felt that in my early 20s, reaching out and being an adult and new mom and stuff, and then it was much later on when I started getting a lot of teachings and hearing the sessions about how to let that go, because we're only here for, we can only change what we can change for today, but our thought process is so impactful in our bodies, right? So in that connection, that spirit, and Grandma Renee always says, look for your spirit, listen to your spirit. So that's the teachings that I have taken. Yeah, also there's a film that was done quite a few years ago, and it's called The Gift of Diabetes. And you can watch it. It's on the National Film Board. So if you go to the National Film Board website and or Google Gift of Diabetes, it has some teachings in there, and how my man Brian was living with diabetes and was getting complications. And so he went on his journey to find out who he was, and learned his Indigenous roots and things. So that's another great resource if anyone wants to access that. So.
Yes, that was great. That was a really good, I contacted him because I wanted to show it as a teaching thing. Oh geez, about 12, 13 years ago. And unfortunately he had passed, but I talked to his brother, and his brother had said, he essentially gave his life for that movie. He was so wrapped up in it, and then he did pass. So they were like, yes, if you use it and teach other people, then by all means. So yeah, but that was, I think, one of the things too about the past is a friend of mine shared with me a dream she had, And in her dream, she said she's seen this book, and it was like, it had all the names of the people who went.
No, sorry, you cut out again, Karen. So it's just the, the tech issues today. But but we just go with the flow. So fortunately, that's the teachings, right? So yeah. So, I don't know. And Grandma Renee, any
Because my internet signal is very strong here, but for some reason it just keeps yeah,
cutting in and out. So yeah, but yeah.
sorry about that.
That's okay. That's out of our control, right? The tech and so
Yeah.
yeah. So I think maybe if Grandma Renee, if having any last words to share as well.
Yes, this month, August, is going to be a very powerful moon. It is a very powerful moon, and all the energy is out there, and it's letting us know that technology, we have the greatest technology, and that is ourselves. And we need to learn to be in balance, And I always say when things like this, we have our challenges, just take that deep breath again, and don't give up. It's a challenge, and we just keep on learning how there's another way I can get to this. There's another route I can do. And so that's like looking at our health. If something pops up and we're struggling at the time, it's always remember the first thing is to take that deep breath. Take 3 deep breaths. And every challenge you have is just to bring back your power. And so know that we're going to be challenged. And we've had that experience today greatly. And so just in our lives, this is why emotions has caused a lot of our health problems. So in order to correct our emotions right away is that breath. Breathe, and just like when you deliver a child, you have to take those moments of breathing and then roller coasting. Breathe and roller coasting. And so this is the best that I can do today that my grandmother had shared with me, is learn how to breathe and let it ride out. And then you can do our best each day, and know that you've done your best. And when you go to bed at night and say, thank you, for I have done what I could do today. And tomorrow is another day, and I will try again.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So so thank you for both for words. I don't think we have any other questions. Someone put the link for the video Gifted Diabetes in the chat. So if you wanted to click on that, you can access it that way. Thank you. And someone's leaving, Mama P. So yeah, so this is very insightful messages, and I hope everyone got something of it. So I don't know, Jeff, do you have any words to share?
Thank you everybody for joining us today, and obviously to Grandmother Renee and Dr. Karen for sharing everything, and IDHC for hosting, and Kathleen being a wonderful moderator, facilitator.
Thanks, yeah, Miigwech. So yeah, so we've had the opportunity. So we do have a lot of programming at IDHC, so virtual still. So we have lots of presentations and things on our website and our Facebook page. So if you're not on there, get on there. We also have our traditional healer program. So we have access that people can get a one-on-one telephone appointment right now. Anyone that's in Ontario can call, and we have different traditional healers and practitioners on our lineup. And so Grandma Renee is one of them, where you can get a one-on-one appointment. And we did have Dr. Karen Hill on our roster for a bit, but now she's been accepted into a language program, so should be on pause for a little bit. So, but just want to kind of share So our programming. So there's a thing, and to visit our, oh, sorry. So there's our link for our Facebook page and our website. If there, you can be added to our mailing list. There's a form that you click on our website. And then if you have any questions, you can contact our Knowledge Program Manager, Jessica Pace. And so we have our upcoming annual event. So that's virtual again this year, on October 26th this year. So if you want to register for that. We also have a session coming up with foot care kit, how to build the foot care kits for those our communities that are doing that if you wanted to, interested in doing that. And that's on August the 17th. So I can sure go to our pages and register there. So, all right. So I just wanted to say a huge thank you. And now Wagoa Chimegwech for Grandma Renee, and Dr. Karen's gone again. So, well, I hope to see you at our next session. So with that, we'll see you later. So.